Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we are dedicating today's learning in memory of Leah Bas Bible, Tzvi Bas Mordechai, Avram ben David Slavin, Shlom ben Yisrael Morris, Eliezer Shalom ben Avram Shmuel Ber, Sipora Fegel, Bas Ruven Baruch, Shalom ben Eli, Lee ben Bas Bible, from Shoshana Bas Yaakov Shmuel, Yirmiyahu Yechiel ben Achav Moshe Eliezer, Sarah Malka Bas Ben Yomin, as well as the yort sites for today, which are as follows. Avram ben Dov Lipman, Shane ben Rivka Bas Asher, Eliezer ben Yitzchak Meir, and Razor Bas Hyman David. Wish each and every one of their respective families long life and holy simchas. Okay, so we were discussing, and we have been discussing, firstly, the concept of pride, gaiva, haughtiness on the one hand, and then on the other, we've been discussing about more recently about the idea of humility, anova. Okay. And hold on one second. Where is it? My book has gone astray, as always, so I will have to manage and improvise without it. Okay, so I got a text yesterday from one of our viewers and listeners, and he was telling me, and he reminded me about something that his father would say. Welcome everyone that is still joining us. I apologize. I did start 12 o'clock right on as a good yekker. So I didn't start early, but I did start right on the correct time. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to wait for a couple of people to come on. So we've been discussing about this great dilemma between how do we do it? We're not meant to be haughty. Hi, Mervyn. Lovely to see you. We're not meant to be haughty. On the other hand, being modest also poses issues and challenges. So we were discussing yesterday, and somebody sent me a text about their late father, whose name was Alan Cohen, Zichrona Livracha, and he reminded me of something that is a well-known idea. I'm sure you may have heard of it, and that is the idea that there were many people going back generations who kept two pieces of paper in their pockets. Try and get a bit more light in here, and the lighting is not great today. And that the one piece of paper said Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam, which means the whole world is a statement by our sages from the Talmud. The whole world was created for me. In other words, the same way that man, Adam, was created on his own to indicate that each person is a world, and the world was worthy of being created for one person. So it is. Sorry, it's very boring. Oh, that's better. So it is that when it comes to each and every one of us, we are a world, and therefore, everything we are capable of, and everything we should try to achieve, right? We make a difference. We count. Okay. Conversely, in the other pocket, many people kept a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper, what did it say? Anyone have a guess? What was it? I'm waiting for a comment in the chat. Let me just see if I still have the message the way it was written to me. Beautiful message yesterday. Let's just see if it's here. No, not that one. Hold on. So one pocket was exactly Sarah got it. Ich bin a Gornisht. Okay, I'm a nothing. Okay. Now we discussed yesterday about the problem of being a nothing. But when you have these two pieces of paper, one in each pocket, excellent. Thank you, Sarah, for sharing. Then you have a balanced approach. You know what they say, a well-balanced Jew is one that has a chip on each of his shoulders. But the truth is, a well-balanced Jew is somebody who has both these perspectives. On the one hand, believing Bishvili Nivra Olam, that the world is worthy of being created just for me. On the other hand, we have the idea of Ich bin a Gornisht, I'm a nothing in relation to the cosmic picture, in relation to the Almighty. When I look out in terms of history, in terms of civilization, in terms of God's creations and universe, what am I? I'm a speck. I'm nothing, right? When you put these two together, then you have the right perspective to life. Okay, I hope it's coming through, this idea. And they tell the well-known story. I think it's pretty much well known, but we'll say it again. It's really bothering me. Hold on, let me just see if we can get a different angle. Try and get the light. I don't know. I need to get a new camera. That's a bit better. The light just is not great. Let me just lift it, and then we'll get better light. Here we go. Thank you to Mervyn. You're propping me up. Okay, hold on 1 second. I just want to get better light. Okay, I think that's a bit better. Okay, so as follows, Diana Brumsky was the based in, who was the head of the based in straight after during the war and straight after the war. He went on to Israel and to become one of the great leaders of Israeli Jewry and world Jewry, and he was called to an English court, the High Court, and there was a case that was brought by a shochet, and the shochet was claiming wrongful dismissal. He'd been fired, lost his job for whatever, and he claimed that it was wrongful dismissal. Anyways, so the Dayan, right, the Av Beis Din, had to come and to give evidence in front of the judge. Now, this is one judge talking to another judge. So the judge, thank you, Harry. So the judge asked Diana Brumsky, can you state your name and your credentials, your position, who you are? And he said, my name is Diane Cheskel Abramsky. I am the most senior authority in the ecclesiastical court in the United Kingdom and in the Commonwealth. And the judge raised his eyebrows and paused and stopped Diane Abramsky in his tracks. He said, excuse me, Diane Abramsky, you just stated that you are the supreme authority in this country. And he lowered his glasses and he says, but I thought the Jewish people were meant to be a modest people. How can you be modest and yet you are making such an assertion? Diana Brumsky said, my lord, I'm under oath. And therefore that is the classic illustration of the difference between pride and bishvili nivra ha'olam. Now let's try and understand it. It means knowing who we are and what we are capable of. That is not being boastful and pride and having pride and being gaivadik and haughty, right? In other words, there are times where we have to step up to the plate and have confidence in who we are and what we are meant to achieve. And generally speaking, when it comes to serving God and doing what we are meant to in the world, that is when we cannot afford to take a back seat. And let me give you an example of this, Harry, Mervyn, Sarah, Powell, and everyone else who is listening and watching but not commenting. So it goes like this. The Noah in this week's Torah portion, right, is criticized, okay? He is criticized because he did not, on the one hand, he is described as a righteous person. In his generation, he was righteous. Had he been in Abraham's generation, he wouldn't be seen as righteous, right? And the question is asked that he seems to come in for quite heavy criticism for not having prayed for his generation. Had he prayed like any righteous person, any tzaddik, a tzaddik, a righteous person, the greatest in the generation, can overturn a divine decree if they pray sincerely. Okay, so the question is asked, well, you know, what was his mistake? And the answer is ki otachara iti tzaddik lefanai bador hazeh. That God says, I have seen this tzaddik in this generation. In other words, Noah knew he was the greatest of his generation. If he knew he was the greatest of his generation, that was not a time to turn on the humility and say, who am I? What can I do? Quite the converse. It was a time for him to do like Abraham would do in the case of Sodom, like Jonah would do in the case of Nineveh, like all the greatest leaders have done across the course of the millennia, and that is to fight tooth and nail, to step up to the plate. And in order to struggle with God and to wrestle with God, as Jacob did in the middle of the night, and to therefore beseech the Almighty to save the humanity. He didn't do so. Why? He says, I'm righteous. But that's only in relation to the other people in the generation, right? Of course, I look good in relation to the wicked people around me. But am I really? Who am I? What am I? What am I capable of? I can't do this. My prayers will go unanswered. There's no point in even trying. And therefore, he didn't. And that was a grave sin on his part, a missed opportunity. And the point we are driving home, and with this we'll conclude, is that you have to know who you are. I would say that more often than not, we sell ourselves short, all of us. We don't believe what we are capable of, right? As Sarah wrote, I'm a nothing. Who am I? What am I? What am I capable of? We are missing a trick. We are making a fundamental error. Okay, I'll end with one story which demonstrates this. The Netziv. Okay, 1 minute. Let me just show you his books, which sit up here. Okay, the Netziv was the Rosh Hashiva of Volozhin, one of the great Rosh Hashivas. But when he was younger, he wasn't. Let's put it this way: he wasn't pulling out all the stops. And he overheard his parents as a kid. He heard this conversation where his parents said, "What are we going to do with him? He'll have to be a shoemaker. He'll have to go into business. He's not cut out for learning." And he heard how upset his parents were. And from that conversation, he turned his life upside down. He turned things around, and he went on to become one of the greatest sages of his generation. And when he wrote his magnum opus, when he came to writing he completed one of the great sets of distinguished writing and scholarly works, and he was making a celebration of its being published. He said, "Can you imagine? After 120, I would have gone up to heaven had things not been different. And the Almighty would have said to me, 'Can you tell me where your Emek Dava is? Can you tell me where your books are?' And I would have said, 'I'm a tailor, I'm a shoemaker, I'm not capable of anything. That's what I am.' And the Almighty would have said, 'What are you talking about? I know what you're capable of. I know that you could have led a different life.'" And the Netziv says, and it's true for each and every one of us, we are going to be asked one question and one question only after 120. Were you really you? Did we live up to ourselves? It is one of the most scary thoughts and things that scares me so much. Am I actually fulfilling my potential? I look at every day and I say, so much time is wasted, so much time in entertainment, so much time frittered away on conversations that don't necessarily lead me in the right direction. So it's about us being focused and believing in ourselves. There are all types of people, and we all have surprised ourselves to a degree during COVID about what we are doing, what we are capable of, and that's precisely why we are learning right now. But friends, we are capable of so much more. I'll ask you a question. Captain Tom, you all heard of him? Have you heard of him? Yeah, says Harry. Of course you heard of him. Now imagine, Captain Tom, had he died when he was 99, he should live to 120, Harry. He should live to 120. He should be well. But imagine that he died at 99. Okay, you haven't heard of Captain Tom, pal. Where you been living? Captain Tom was the person who raised £32.5 million for the NHS. Okay, at 99 years old. Imagine he had died. Okay, would have gone up to heavens. Okay, and they would say, "Very nice, Captain Tom, take your seat." Okay, and they would have said, "Listen, you've done a great things. You've done great things. Here's your reward." But did you know what you were capable of? Do you know that you could have inspired a whole world during COVID? He would have said, "Me? I'm an old age pensioner. I was retired. I couldn't have done anything." You're talking about the Prime Minister. You're talking about, I don't know, a celebrity, a film star. Me, who am I? I'm a nobody. I was a captain in the army. I've led a simple, modest life. And the Almighty would have said, "You don't realize what you are capable of. Look what he achieved. Look what he was capable of." We all need to have a long, hard look at ourselves in the mirror. We can and should be so much more than we are. and there are opportunities, right? Opportunities every single day. Small people try to make great people small, and great people try to make small things great. I heard that yesterday, and it made a profound impact on me. There are little moments in our day. Sarah, you're listening. Powell, you're listening. Michelle, you're listening. Every second, every twist and turn, a conversation, a moment when we meet somebody, an opportunity to do something, right? We have opportunities if we push ourselves. The difference between success and failure, as any athlete will tell you, is a millisecond. It's pushing yourself across the line. Okay, so please God, we should all be successful in everything that we do and get that balance right in our lives between being modest on the one hand and having self-esteem on the other. So many of our youngsters lack in self-esteem. Rabbi Dr. Twersky wrote, I think, 20 books already about self-esteem. They asked him how he wrote 20 books. He says, basically, I wrote one book. It was all about self-esteem. We have to think about, do we believe? And if we believe, very often, then that will percolate through to the next generation. Okay, we'll stop there. So much more to say. And of course, a reminder that tomorrow we are not on. Fridays we're not having because it's too difficult on Fridays to do. So we'll be back on Sunday, 9:30. So here we go. So we're going to make the, first we'll do the Psalm of the day. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He causes me to lie down in green pastures. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even when I walk in the valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You set a table before me in the presence of my adversaries. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord for the length of days. Memorial prayer. Adon Olamim Zacho Es Nishmois. Bas Bible Bas Mordechai. Avram ben David Slavin. Shlomo ben Yisrael Morris. Eliezer Shalom ben Avashmo Beres Perapekel Bas Ruben Baruch Shalom ben Eleni ben Bas Bible. From Rosh Hashanah Bas Yaakov Shmo Sar Malka Bas Ben Yom Yom Yichio ben Achavim Moshe Eliezer. And the yard sites for today, which are as follows: Avram ben Dov Lipman, Sheinu Rivka Bas Asher, Eliezer ben Yitzchak Meir, or Bas Hyman David, Shalchol Ilamam, Began Aiden Taimanu Chosam Lachem Belaracham Bim, Yasireim Veseisakan of Abilamim, Yetzabat Chais Nishwasam Adnai Nachlasam, Yanuchu Bishlomish Kavam, Venomar, Amen. Long life to all those that are saying Kaddish, who would be saying Kaddish. Wishing everyone well. Lastly, we conclude with a Refuah Shlema prayer, and we have in mind, in particular, Rav Lord Sachs and Diane Ehrentreu, both in need of a Refuah Shlema amongst all those that are ill. We look forward to seeing everyone 8:15 on Facebook tonight, where we have a fascinating conversation with Caroline Stock, Mayor of Barnet, which is followed next Thursday by the Minister for Immigration in the cabinet of the State of Israel. We are truly honored and privileged to be hosting next Thursday the Minister Penina of Immigration, originally from Ethiopia. She had a fascinating story and journey from Ethiopia to being in the cabinet of Israel. We look forward to hearing it next week, but this week is Caroline Stock, Mayor of Barnet, this week, 8:15 tonight on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. So, Misha Berach Abasein Robins of Yaakov Moshe David Shlomo Yivarech Rapez Acholim Babu Shana Vispalim Babu Ramos and Bis Chazak Kodesh Baruch Hu Malei Rachim Aleim Lach Melachot Sam Mishlach and Pushlim and Shmaim Lacholvim V'Soch Shachol Yisrael Rafus HaNefesh Rafus HaGuf Hashav Avatzmak Riv and Amen. Have a great day. Here's the details for tonight. See you later.